Imagine this. You're trekking up the deadliest mountain on Earth, Mount Everest, aiming for the summit. It's early morning. The air is so thin you can barely breathe, and suddenly, you spot a man sitting cross-legged on the edge of a 10,000-foot drop. He's unzipping his jacket, no hat, no gloves, no oxygen mask, nothing to protect him from the freezing cold. He looks at you and says calmly, "I imagine you're surprised to see me here. This isn't a movie scene. It's what happened to Australian climber Lincoln Hall in 2006. Declared dead the night before, he was found alive after surviving a night alone in the death zone at 8,700 meters. What is death zone of Mount Everest? Above 8,000 meters on Mount Everest lies the death zone, a realm where the air holds only 1/3 the oxygen of sea level. Here, the human body cannot truly survive, only slowly die. Named in the 1950s by Dr. Edouard Weisdunat, it is a place where every breath is a battle and every step drains life itself. The brain fogs, judgment collapses, and hallucinations creep in as hypoxia starves vital organs. Temperatures plunge below -30 degrees Celsius, winds scream, and frostbite strikes within minutes. Most climbers have just hours here before the body begins to shut down, making this thin, silent world the deadliest stretch on Earth. Let's dive right into who Lincoln Hall was. Born in 1955 in Canberra, Australia, Hall was no stranger to adventure. He was a seasoned mountaineer, author, and even helped start the Australian Himalayan Foundation to build schools in remote mountain areas. His love for climbing started young, and by 1984, he had already tried Everest once. That time, as part of the first Australian team, he reached 8,300 meters on the north face but turned back, saying in an interview, "No view is worth that price." He knew the risks. Everest's death zone above 8,000 meters starves your body of oxygen, causing brain swelling, hallucinations, and often death. Yet, in 2006, at age 50, he joined the Seven Summits Club expedition led by Russian climber Alexander Abramov, climbing from the Tibet side. Why go back? Hall later wrote in his book Dead Lucky, Life After Death on Mount Everest, that it was about unfinished business and the pull of the mountain. But as we'll see, this climb would test him beyond imagination. The 2006 season was already cursed. At least 10 people died that year, making it one of the deadliest since the 1996 disaster that killed 12. Just days before Hall's ordeal, British climber David Sharp died alone in an ice cave, passed by dozens of climbers who couldn't or wouldn't help. Sir Edmund Hillary, the first to summit Everest, called it shameful. He was a human being, and we would regard it as our duty to get him back to safety. This backdrop raises a big question. On Everest, when do you save yourself versus saving someone else? Hall's story would flip that debate on its head. As the team pushed toward base camp in April, Hall felt strong. He trained hard, knowing altitude sickness hits without warning. Cerebral edema, or brain swelling from low oxygen, was his biggest fear. It makes you confused, like being drunk at the edge of the world. But excitement built. What if this was his chance to stand on top? Little did he know, the real story wasn't the summit. It was what came after. The north face of Everest, a brutal wall of ice, rock, and wind that howls like a beast. Hall's team started their push in late May, weaving through camps at increasing altitudes. Advanced base camp at 6,400 meters felt like a village of tents, but higher up, it was pure survival. Hall documented in his book how the thin air made every step feel like running a marathon. "Your body screams for oxygen," he wrote, "but there's none to give. Have you ever wondered how climbers prepare for that? They acclimatize, going up and down to let their bodies adjust. But even pros like Hall knew luck played a part. On May 24th, the summit bid began. Hall, with his Sherpa guides, climbed through the night, headlamps piercing the dark. The second step, a sheer rock face with a ladder fixed by previous teams, was a choke point. Winds gusted, and temperatures plunged to -30 degrees Celsius. Hall's partner, Thomas Weber, tragically collapsed and died at 8,700 meters just hours before Hall's own crisis, blinded by low pressure. From Weber's perspective, shared in reports, he was climbing to raise funds for eye care in the Himalayas, ironic and heartbreaking. Why do these tragedies cluster? Experts say it's the summit fever, where the goal blinds you to dangers. Hall pushed on, reaching the summit around 9 a.m. on May 25, 2006. Standing at 8,848 meters, he felt triumph. In a later interview on ABC Radio, he recalled the view. It's like being on the roof of the world, but you know you can't stay long. Photos from the team show him smiling, Australian flag in hand. But descent is deadlier than ascent. 80% of Everest deaths happen coming down, when exhaustion hits hardest. As Hall started down, subtle signs appeared. A headache, slight dizziness. Was it just fatigue, or something worse? Tension built as the group descended. Sherpa guides, like unsung heroes, carried extra loads and watched for trouble. From their view, shared in summit climb reports, Hall seemed okay at first. But around Mushroom Rock at 8,700 meters, he faltered. Hallucinations kicked in. He thought he was on a boat or being attacked. What goes through a climber's mind then? Panic? Denial? Hall later said it felt like his brain was betraying him. The team radioed base camp. Trouble ahead. Abramov, the leader, monitored from below, knowing decisions could mean life or death. As the sun dipped, oxygen tanks ran low. The Sherpas tried everything, dragging him, giving extra oxygen. But Hall collapsed, unresponsive. A chilling detail from Alan Arnett's blog. They even poked a pen in his eye to check for reaction. No flinch. Can you imagine that desperation? From the Sherpas' perspective, they risked their own lives staying longer. Night fell and the call came, leave him. Now the story turns dark. Hall lay motionless at 8,700 meters as his team debated. From the Sherpa's side, recounted in the Guardian article, they waited 2 hours checking for pulse or breath, nothing. Snow blindness set in, oxygen dwindled, and they had families waiting in Nepal. Abramov ordered over radio, "Abandon him and save yourselves." Heart-wrenching, right? But on Everest, it's a harsh reality. Rescue one, risk all. Hall's family back in Australia got the call. He's dead. His wife, Barbara, told their kids, only to face the unimaginable twist later. What if you were Abramov? Would you make that call? Critics later questioned it, especially after David Sharp's case, where climbers passed a dying man. Hillary blasted the ethics. We would never have left a man under a rock. But defenders, like in Arnett's analysis, note Hall was immobile, unlike cases where victims could walk. The Sherpas stripped Hall of gear to lighten their load. No pack, no water, no headlamp. Left in his down suit, he was alone as darkness swallowed the mountain. Hall's hallucinations intensified before blackout. In Dead Lucky, he described seeing Sherpas as enemies taunting him. From a Reddit account based on reports, he believed they beat him, which terrified him downward briefly. Cerebral edema swells the brain, cutting off logic. Doctors explain it's like a stroke at altitude. Cells die without oxygen. How long can someone last? Most die in hours, but Hall defied odds. As night deepened, temperatures hit -40 degrees. Winds whipped snow into his face. No food, no shelter. Just the stars above and a sheer drop below. Think about it. What thoughts race through your mind when death seems certain? Hall later said he entered a meditative state, breathing rhythmically, perhaps what saved him. But medically, it's a miracle his body somehow conserved energy. Below, at base camp, the team mourned. News spread, another Everest victim. The world moved on, but Hall didn't. Tension peaks here. Is he really gone, or clinging to life? The answer came at dawn. Alone in the death zone, Hall's night was a blur of cold and delusion. From his book, he recalled twitching, convinced he was in a warm boat rocking on waves. Frostbite gnawed at his fingers and toes, but he didn't feel it. Hypothermia numbs pain. Experts in a YouTube documentary Miracle on Everest say survival odds were near zero. Without oxygen for 12 hours, most brains shut down. Yet, Hall sat up at some point, changing his shirt as if it were a sunny day. Why? Delirium, perhaps stripping paradox. Climbers often remove clothes thinking they're hot. From a physiological view, shared in PubMed articles on high-altitude sickness, his meditative breathing might have slowed his metabolism, preserving oxygen. But spiritually, Hall, a Buddhist sympathizer, later pondered if it was karma or sheer will. What do you think, science or something more? Meanwhile, another team approached. American Dan Mazur, Canadian Andrew Brash, Brit Miles Osborne, and Sherpa Jangbu. They left camp at 5 a.m. on May 26th, dreaming of summit glory. Just below the second step, they spotted him. Osborne's account, quoted on Summit Climb, sitting to our left, about 2 feet from a 10,000-foot drop, was a man, not dead, not sleeping, but sitting cross-legged, in the process of changing his shirt. He had his down suit unzipped to the waist, his arms out of the sleeves, no hat, no gloves, no sunglasses, no oxygen mask, regulator, ice axe, no sleeping bag, no mattress, no food nor water bottle. Shock hit them. Mazur radio base. We found Lincoln Hall alive. The rescuer's perspective flips the script. Mazur said, "The summit is still there. We can go back. Lincoln only has one life." They sacrificed their climb, no small choice after months of prep. Why help? Humanity, they said. Contrast this with Sharp's fate. Immobile, no one could move him. Hall was lucid enough to speak, though frostbitten and swollen-brained. Abramov scrambled a massive rescue. 12 Sherpas raced up with oxygen, tea, and meds. Names like Angshu Sherpa and Nima Wangda became heroes. Hall sipped tea, took dexamethasone for swelling. But the descent? Treacherous. He walked parts, guided down ropes. At North Col, Russian Dr. Andrei Selivanov treated him for edema and infection. By evening, he reached advanced base camp, alive but changed. Back at base, Hall called his wife. "I'm alive." She had mourned him, checking news sites only to see updates. He's found. From her perspective, in People magazine, it was like losing him twice, then getting him back. Hall lost fingertips and a toe to frostbite, but regained health. He wrote Dead Lucky in 2007, detailing the ordeal, and Alive in the Death Zone in 2008. Documentaries like Miracle on Everest captured it, earning Emmy nods. In I Shouldn't Be Alive, he reenacted the night. Hall's story sparked debates on Everest ethics. Why save him but not Sharp? Arnett explains, Hall could walk, Sharp couldn't. It led to better protocols like more oxygen caches. Hall stayed friends with rescuers. Osborne called him a great guy with bad jokes. He continued adventuring, editing magazines, and philanthropy until 2012, when mesothelioma from asbestos exposure claimed him at 56. Friend Greg Mortimer said, "It was peaceful. He quietly slipped away. What lessons linger? Everest tests limits, but humanity shines in crisis." Hall's words, "Life is precious. Grab it. Have you faced a near-death moment?" His tale reminds us, survival is possible, even when declared impossible. If this tale of impossible survival gripped you, hit like, subscribe for more real-life adventure and resilience stories, and comment below. What would you do if left for dead on a mountain? Give up or fight? Share your thoughts.